Good afternoon, everyone. It is so nice to meet you all. And my name is Heewon Kim, and I'm an elder in the Northern Illinois Conference of the United Methodist Church. And yes, hi, Pastor Jim Muksanim, and so good to see you all. I think I could have gotten the chance to get to know you more when I would have been in that our Madang retreat in May, but I had to visit to Korea in 8 years to see my parents and my parents-in-law. So I missed the opportunity to meet you there, but I hope you had a good time to build some relationship with each other, and I hope through this time we can get to know you more too. So I'm serving three small churches in McChesney Park in my conference, and I'm serving especially a new faith community that was like 10 years ago. It was planted, and also serving two old congregations, but aging church doesn't mean that they are not just old, because they are doing so many meaningful ministries. And one of the things that they are doing is to offer their space for this new faith community where I'm also pastoring at. So actually, I have two different church locations, but that new faith community uh, um, is sharing one of the spaces in the church. So they are very grateful for that. So anyway, that is kind of where I am right now. And today we are going to talk about clergy ethics and also self-care. So before we begin, I'd like to ask someone to open with a word of prayer. So may I ask any volunteer? Sunny Muksanim, what is that chatting? Oh, okay, yes, I see that. Any volunteer to pray? Oh, Pastor Chanje Muksanim? Yeah.
Yeah, let us pray. God, we thank you for this time and this wonderful fellowship in this Madang webinar. And also, we thank you for Heewon Moksanim to come here and share his own stories and teaching points for clergy ethics and self-care. So, which is really important to all of us. So God, please help us and give us wisdom and strength and guidance throughout this 2-hour seminar and throughout this course series of seminars, so that we may be better equipped and also serve better for your kingdom. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Pastor Chanje Muksanim. And as you know, as a clergy person, I had been in the ordination process, and I was ordained in 2017 in the Northern Illinois Conference. At the end of the process, the Board of Ordained Ministry gave me just one recommendation. It was to do more self-care. At the time, I thought it was just easy peasy thing that I don't even care, and I didn't consider it as a recommendation. I just totally ignored it, and I thought just so easy thing to do. I didn't fully understand what it meant to practice and develop my own self-care. And the more I was in ministry, the more I felt how much it is crucial to care for myself and my soul. The last 2 years probably was very tough and challenging for all of us. It was not exceptional to me. I was not exceptional too. I was at some point kind of depressed and challenged, but at the same time, yeah, I've learned a lot throughout the practice of ministry during the pandemic. So this time, what I'm going to do is nothing else but things we can share and learn from each other around this topic, self-care and clergy ethic. And the resource that I'm going to show and share with you is from the training and that I took that my annual conference provided for clergy, and it was called Clergy and Ministerial Ethic course made by Safe Gathering. So it is not a new or something that I made, but just I thought it was just so informative and profound to me as we continue our journey of ministry, which will be by no means easy and predictable. So I thought it will be a good platform for us to bring our own experiences and our thoughts so that we can even build our own way of self-care and articulate more specifically our clergy ethic. So as far as self-care is concerned, I was privileged to take the course, actually online webinar by Dr. Samuel Lee from Claremont School of Theology last year that our Nakamskra has organized and hosted that event. His seminar was excellent and so beneficial in terms of understanding and developing our self-care. So I don't know, Pastor Hassan Lee is also one of our executive members in the Nakam Skra. If we have that seminar as recorded, I would definitely suggest you and recommend you to watch and learn from the seminar, which was very academic and lots of wisdom that Dr. Samuel shared. So I have even the resources that he provided for the participants. So if you want to have, I can send it out to maybe Pastor Song Lee so that he can share out to you. But what I want to do here is more like facilitating for you. I want you to see me as your colleague and friend rather than an instructor or presenter. I would rather listen to Sambe Muksanim's experience and advice than teaching something for you. So as kind Reverend Song Lee Muksanim mentioned in his invitation yesterday, our next 2 hours will be more likely panel discussion based and sharing based time. I hope so. So here we go. Before we do that, maybe in your chat box, I want to do a little activity with you. If you can remember your time during the last 2 years, I want you to answer to a couple of questions. The first question, rate your stress level during the last 2 years on a scale of 1 to 10, and where 1 is less or no stress and 10 is a great deal of stress. So how would you like to rate your stress level during the pandemic last 2 years? Actually, if we would have used this poll kind of function in the Zoom, we would have used it, but I think it's gonna be fine. If you can just on your chat box answer to this question, I would like to rate first. Wow, Reverend Song Lee seems to be the wonderful self-care person. He rated just 1. Most likely people about 10, 7, 8. I was the only 10. All right. And 6, 7. Yeah. So yeah, pretty sure it seems to be pretty stressful time for all of us. And what about now? Could you rate your stress level nowadays? Think about it and please answer to this chat box. Yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, still, yeah. The range is very varied, all the way from 1 through 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Seems to be a little lowered than the last 2 years. But whether we rated a high number of our stress level or low, at least I didn't see 0. Everyone has to deal with some level of stress, right? That we have to cope with our stress from our ministry setting and in our own lives. So going back to here. So how do you practice self-care for yourself? Please unmute yourself and please share anything that you have your own way to practice your self-care.
For me, self-care is the time being away from my baby. So,
How old is your son?
no, it's a girl.
A girl, I'm sorry, Yajin. I'm
Oh, it's
sorry.
she almost had no hair, so everybody thinks. She's almost 19 months
19 months.
old, and I'm I'm letting her stay with my husband and then go to Starbucks or other local coffee shop by myself. I'm not even resting. I'm still working, but being away from her itself is like I can smell freedom as soon as I walk out the door. So that is self-care for me.
Blessing on all our mothers. Yeah. Oh, thank you for your sharing. Anyone else?
For me, music is a big part of my self-care. So I love to sing and I love to play the instruments like guitars and pianos and drums and everything. And also maybe detached from my sons, maybe also one of the self-care. However, because mine is a little older than Yajin's, they're like 10 and 7 now. So I try to teach them how to play the instruments so that we can play together as a, I don't know, band in the future. So
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I thought about it, but never tried it yet. But you're already doing something with your children. That's awesome. Yeah. Anyone else? Maybe we can discuss about it later, more details about this topic. So Let me ask you the second question. What matters most to you in doing that? What matters the most? What is most important to you when it comes to self-care? What do you think?
When I go to a coffee shop by myself, I'm trying to focusing on my needs, because before, like most of the time, I'm focusing on the church. I'm focusing on my husband and my kids. So when I go to coffee shop, I'm trying to kind of feed my needs and then try to do whatever I would like to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It has to do with your need and your care. Absolutely, to meet your desire to be filled in whatever that works for you. Anyone else? What matters most to you in doing it?
So for my self-care, I used to do and I still sometimes do it too. I do art stuff like, painting or drawing. I have an art class group that we have met for like a semester or something like that, a long period of time. We're on vacation right now, but so I take art classes and I also personally take photos so that so that I can connect to my friends and also to the nature, and just grounding myself. But then, and I also, watch, and I know many of you probably do it too. I watch Korean, drama or, Korean shows on Netflix or elsewhere. But then nowadays, this is my 7th year as a full-time pastor, and I feel more like I need something really caring for my spirituality too. So I'm seeking um, kind of spiritual direction. So that's my now kind of shifting gears, not just having good time with my and enjoying my time, but more like how can I then just reflect on myself and fears and anxieties and all dealing with all these things that I have kind of neglected to take care of.
Mm, Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I see your beautiful pictures when you post those on your Facebook. Yeah, you look like almost professional photographer you are. So I really enjoy it too. Yeah. Anyone else? um, I think all that you shared and you're gonna share will be an important part of this big topic, self-care. So absolutely, those are all important part of what we're gonna share. But to me, when I prepare for this time with you, it seemed to me that kind of setting boundaries is overarching kind of goal and important matter when it comes to this self-care and clergy ethics. So setting boundary, let me show you some more slides. Yeah, many churches, members expect that their clergy are at their disposal 24 hours, 7 days a week, available to talk for hours on any number of subjects. Clergy have to work hard to maintain the integrity of the ministerial relationship. Setting boundaries enables church members to respect the clergy's profession, time, and privacy. So clergy must protect themselves by not allowing themselves to take on every request or opportunity. Saying no does not mean clergy are inadequate, self-centered, or apathetic. Clergy must master the skill of assertiveness so they can feel more confident when saying no. So I don't know how many of you kind of become master the skill of this saying no. I'm still working on it. I'm still not good at it. So here's one scripture we can kind of ponder together. Don't you realize that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who lives in you and was given to you by God? You do not belong to yourself, for God bought you with a high price. So you must honor God with your body. With your body. 1 Corinthians 6:19-20. So God has given us this body that we have to care for because we cannot do everything, and some point we have to set boundaries so that we can kind of honor God in the way that we can um, care for ourselves and our lives and our families and our body so that we can have this long run um, journey of faith together. So what I'm going to share with you is how to set boundaries in our private and public areas of our lives and of our ministry. So let's see, in our private area first, maybe we can think about use of technology. How often do you find yourself stuck mindlessly surfing the internet like YouTube or social media? Clergy members should make good decisions about employing digital technology. When technology becomes too big of a distraction, we got to take time to unplug each day, whether this means keeping the phone in a drawer or another room, or turning it off for specific periods of time. We clergy should recognize the amount of time we spend on social media and take measures to ensure that technology doesn't become a distracting and addictive waste of time. So around this topic, can any of you share how you set some boundaries on using your technology, your phone, and any computer? Anyone would like to share?
I use Google Audio, not audio, Google Voice. Yeah, Google Voice gives a free phone number in within the United States. The text message and the phone calls are all free, and that's internet based, like VoIP, voice over IP. So basically, I have another number other than my personal number, and it's only for the church. So I only shared this phone number to the church members so that they can even send a text message to me. But that's a church official church number. So if I'm on my vacation or after hours, I just turn that off. Of course, some people still know my personal number, so I'm leaderships. If it's an emergency, they can call me through the personal number. But otherwise, just have church number as a mobile for free.
That's a wonderful thing to do that. Thank you. Thank you. So anyway, yeah, in our work of setting boundaries, those technology could become a beneficial and useful tools for us or distractions. So let us keep in mind in using those technology. And second one, safety agreement with a spouse. We got to take time with our spouse if we are married to establish a safety agreement. What I meant to by it is that when a relationship feels risky or it feels like there might be tension on one or both sides of the relationship, let your spouse know in advance of meetings or another encounters. Establish ways to check in to ensure that you are safely maintaining boundaries and fidelity in your marriage. For example, When I was leading a confirmation class, there was a time my youth director had to leave early right after our meeting so that I was supposed to give a ride for a youth girl. And guess what I did? What should I do? I talked to my wife in advance so that I could call her to be with me when I need to give a ride for the girls so that we can do it together, so that we can not only meet the safe sanctuary policy, but also, to be on the same page with my wife. Like my mission trip, I was a full week last week in Kentucky for our church mission trip. And then my wife jokingly gives me a caution and said, be careful, the girls, something like that. So that, even though there are three body systems are working with safe sanctuary, whatever, but always, my wife and I just keep in mind in those different circumstances where our relationship might be a little bit risky, or, something that we need to check on each other. So always, it is important to keep in mind that you, um, set this boundary with your spouse. Um, Eating habits in churches, food is at the center of most events, from meetings where people bring snacks to all church dinners like potluck. Overeating can become a problem for clergy who don't watch their weight and eating habits. Long days often involve grabbing fast food between meetings or grabbing a quick snack or quick bite on the way to hospital visits with no real time or focus on nutrition. It's actually my story. I don't know about you, but to me, last 2 years of pandemic, I haven't been exposed to COVID or test positive to the virus. Well, look at that. This is my health screening result in 2019. As you see, everything is almost green except for one area. I can almost brag about my health. I've been pretty good, right? 2020, still I'm pretty good shape. Only one area is a little red flag. And all of a sudden 2021, I've got 4 red flags all around related to cholesterol. And guess what? Yes, I ate all that unhealthy food to reduce my stress. And during that, shutdown time, what should I do? I ate and ate and ate. 2022, even I've got one more red flags. So yeah, during the pandemic, I have never been to exposed to the COVID, so I was not 확진자, but I became a 확진자. Yeah. So definitely we got to take care of our body. Eating for comfort, to reduce stress, to ignore problem, to celebrate, to combat depression, eating in the interest of fellowship. These are all regions that the average person consumes too much food, and it is no different for clergy. An unhealthy relationship with food can be extremely difficult to overcome. So regular exercise and nutrition are essential components to a healthy clergy lifestyle and an important contributor to a clergy member's fruitful ministry life. So, how do you set your boundaries in your private area? I only picked out just 3 things about your technology, using technology with your spouse or in your own eating habits. I want you I want Reverend Songho Lee 목사님, if he can break all of us to maybe 3 groups. I want you to share with this question. How do you set your boundaries in your private area so that we can listen from each other and we can get some
So it is just you and me, Hassan Moksanim, or anybody else is coming? Let's see how many breakout rooms we have. So going out? Okay, then I will just close the door. What do you have you? Close the door? Yeah, okay, see you. See you.
Do I need to go back to the small group?
No. Heewon Moksaim will lead the big group again.
Yes, welcome all to be back to this plenary session. And well, I think I should have told you to select one person to take note and share when we get together. But I think just one of you, just you, who are willing to share, I think we can do that. But I'd like to, in our group, Reverend Lydia Han was willing to take note and share in our whole group. So I will hand it over to Reverend Han to share what we have shared together.
Hello, everyone. I'm grateful for Reverend Kim today, pointing out to us what are so important for our self-care. In our small group, I learned that all of us need to have a routine physical exam, watch out for our medical record, have our medical, physical part of our health. And also we heard that setting up a routine exercise on a daily routine, such as Sebyok Muksanim said, running, joining marathon, setting routine. And also we heard from most of the Muksanim, or I think everybody actually share, Yajin Muksanim and the rest of us. We love ramyeon, but we have to avoid eating fast food and try to eat healthy. And also eat on time. No matter how busy we are, we have tendency to skip meals and just drink coffees. So we eat on time. And the last one is organizing space and time and avoid doing multitasking. Avoid over usage of technology, such as our phone, I guess. That was what we share. So, is there anything else?
No, I think you covered them all. Thank you, Reverend Han. Thank you. And who were the other group? Would you please? Did we have 3 groups or 2 groups breakout? We had 4 groups actually. Okay, thank you. Is there any other group members who can remember what you have shared, and then you can a little bit unpack with us about your sharing? Please share them now.
CJ, you do not like silence, so why don't you speak for our group? We didn't know that someone need to write down.
Yeah, one of the things I shared was overeating. So I don't like to see the leftover food at least on my table. So whenever I see them, I just finish them, and that's something bad for me. But Reverend Tay actually shared something opposite, which is he skips a lot and he sometimes forgot to eat, which never makes sense to me. So yeah, he shared that. But one of the things really meaningful to all of us was actually from our Bishop Cho, which was New Start as a new lifestyle, and that was nutrition, exercise, and water. Stands for new, and for start, sunshine, temperance, air, rest, and trust in God. So that's a very good new start if we want to keep self-care, new lifestyle. And I think I missed something from Heran Moksanim.
Yeah.
Yeah, could you share that part once again?
Okay. I'm a little different with other clergies because I'm a clergy couple. So, like Heewon Kim 목사님 shared about some as an example, when you gave a ride for one of the girl, you ask your wife to, join, but I cannot because we serve different churches, and the percentage is the distance is 45 minutes away.
Mm.
So ministry daytime, it's hard to ask him, and then also I cannot help him as well.
Mm.
So kind of that is a challenge as a clergy couple. So for instance, asking spouse, I ask church members to go with me, when I visit the church members like that, shut the door like that.
Mm.
And so we have a more better balance, relationship to build with, spouse who is, who is the pastor as well. We have a day of same day every Monday. And then from Sunday evening through Tuesday morning, we have spent time together. We, started kind of, having lunch or dinner outside, and not at home. Just go out and have lunch or dinner together. And sometimes we watch, movie or Korean drama as well. So kind of we try to effort. And during weekday, we try to, each other commute. We try to do as much as we do. 45 minutes away, the distance is a little, not too easy and not too hard, but not too easy together, together every day. So that is a little challenging, but I'm trying to do our best, my best and his best, we together. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes. Would any other group like to share? Please. Any volunteer to shared? Okay, let me put another again our PowerPoint. So thank you all for your sharing. There was very enriching experience from hearing from one another about how you cope with those sometimes stress or self-care with yourself and with your spouse and with your family. There's all important. And again, thank you. So what about now? We're gonna go jump into a public area in our ministry. So first thing that I selected to share with you about counseling limits. We clergy who provides counseling and or spiritual direction must assume the full burden of responsibility for establishing and maintaining boundaries. So when we provide pastoral counseling, what is the criteria or sign that you need to consider transferring your congregant to a professional counselor? What do you think? I didn't study a master's on pastoral counseling or like that, so I'm not the person who can articulate the whole kind of theory or academic background on this, but from what I learned from one of my friends who studied on that pastoral counseling, she said before transference appears, that could be a good sign that you could consider transferring the person that you are providing pastoral care to a professional counselor. So can any of you know what transference means? It is pastoral counseling term that I've learned from my friend. This transference means like when relationship is built as a pastor and a parishioner, but as you spend more time with the person that you are providing pastoral care, you feel at some point that this relationship seems changing more than that. Like something he or she desires something from you, not as a pastor, but like a little father or mother sometimes, or close friend, or mental health doctor. So that when you feel like that person crossed the boundaries, like calling you at 2 o'clock in the morning, this transference, my friend says, unconsciously happens sometimes. It is hard to be noticed. So when relationship gets deeper in ways that that are not healthy or risking to cross the boundaries, that could be a good signal or indicator that you should consider transferring the person to a professional counseling. Unfortunately, this poor pastor, me, Heewon, I didn't know about that. So my experience when I was in Dixon, Illinois, I had provided a parishioner for many times, for a long time, and it ended up with kind of hurting from each other. I didn't know about these things, so it turned out that that person actually had persecutory delusions. It is a medical term meaning a false beliefs that one is about to be harmed or mistreated by others in some way. So that person came up to me and sharing the same issues over and over again. And I really tried to help her out to get out of that problem. But I didn't notice about which is the kind of certain standard or criteria that I should provide. So no matter how hard I worked with her, it ended up somehow that the person was angry at me and I didn't kind of provide it the way it's supposed to be. So let me ask you, what is the appropriate or limited number of counseling for pastor or as a pastor? Can any of you raise your hands? Yes, Pastor Tae, would you please unmute? I'm sorry, your name is just Tae,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it is Tay.
Tae, okay.
All right. Yeah. Usually I'll limit it to 3. And after 3, I'll just refer them to our counseling place near our community.
Thank you very much. You're absolutely right. Yes. Have you ever actually experienced the Pastor Tae?
For me, what do you mean by experienced it?
Like you provided counseling, pastoral counseling to one of your parishioners, and it appears to be that you need to transfer the person to a professional.
Yeah. Well, for me, my limit is 3, but also I did counsel a person who was suicidal. And I think one of the things was that if the person ever either that the person has attempted or has plans to attempt or whatever, that goes into the the counseling, like the professional counselors, and not or
Mhm.
to me. And so that's what I've done.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. There is in my material that clearly says up to 3 times, but my friend also says she studied at Garrett Evangelical Theological Seminary, and that at Garrett it is for free to provide counseling up to 6 times. In those professional licensed counselors also provide up to 6 times. And then when the problem doesn't seem to be resolved, they also transfer and recommend it to a more professional counselor. So it is like 3 times or up to 6 times a meeting to determine whether you'd like to transfer or recommend, make a referral to meeting a professional counselor. So yeah, this is in my experience, in my practice of ministry, it was a big learning experience. So this is something that I wanted to share with you. So like if a personal problem requires more than 3 discussions or up to 6 times a meeting, it may be a good indicator to recommend professional counseling or other social services. So when you provide pastoral counseling, this is kind of good to know and remember so that you don't burn yourself out, and we are kind of avoid the derailing in our this pastoral counseling.
In the Virginia conference, once we recommend the pastors that the maximum number of sessions pastor can have with the parishioner was four sessions. Yeah.
4 sessions.
After 4, just 3-4 to the professional counselor. That was the suggestion to the pastors. I don't know whether that is still effective in the Virginia conference, but when I serve the church, they usually recommend 4 sessions.
Thank you, Bishop. That sounds really good to remember. So yeah, between 3 or 6 times, I think it's gonna be up to your determination based on your ministry setting and your church situation. So yeah. The next one, setting boundaries in your ministry, in your public area. When we don't set boundaries in ministry, we get burned out all of a sudden. So please know your limits and be realistic about what we can and you can accomplish effectively each day. So schedule time every day to recharge and renew mind and to connect with God through prayer. So one of the pastor, Kevin Conklin, life group pastor at Southbrook Church in Charlotte, North Carolina, he writes, when you are setting boundaries, don't forget to block some time with God. Schedule that time as you would schedule an appointment with your board chairman or DS or bishop. That's one appointment you would never cancel, right? And yet spending time with God is far more important, don't you think? So when you set some boundaries in your ministry, here are some tips to fight job burnout. Learn to say no and delegate tasks by equipping more lay leaders. Negotiate a healthy work pattern with your step parish relations committee or other supervisory team in the local church. Develop a support group of trusted friends and colleagues to help hold you accountable to healthier work pattern. So we have cluster meeting around clergy groups, once a meeting that I'm trying to attend every month to share our lives to hold accountable to my other colleagues, pastors. So I try to to attend the meeting seriously. So it could be a one way. And renew interest in activities or hobbies not related to your ministry life. So what hobbies or activities that are not related to your ministry life? Can you share? Any of you share? I like fishing. I like fishing. But anyway, yeah.
I'm trying to pick up surfing.
Pick up what?
Surfing.
Surfing. Wow. I hope to learn surfing someday. Mr. Pastor Tay can teach me someday. Okay, anyone else? Yeah, Jill 목사님 taking photos, right? Could be a good interest, hobbies or activities. I know you all have something. Share your experiences and challenges with other clergy members. Yeah, like the meetings that I have monthly basis with my other colleagues, like cluster meeting or district level meeting. And please open yourself to those opportunities to build relationships, not within your church, but outside the church as well. Oh, speaking of this healthy work pattern, I brought this. Many of you may have seen this, but it really helped me, so I just brought it up again. It is units of time. It is a helpful time management tool for clergy, and it is just simply divide your day into third, like morning, afternoon, and evening, and it becomes 3 units a day. So guess what? The whole weekly unit will be 21 units, and out of that, the General Board Pension and Health Benefit suggestion recommends for full-time clergy to try to work between 10 to 12 units a week. And I know for sure we Korean clergy who are working hard, always easy to work more than that, like 15 units or 16 units, but try to work no more than 12 units a week. And then the rest of them, kind of this X indicates it is a time, for you to spend with some activities that are important to you, exercise, family time, doctor's appointment, and etc. So this is a kind of example to set up your own units of time. So try to make those units no more than 11 or 12 units, and it is recommended to make block of at least 6 to 9, or the goal is 10, kind of for personal and Sabbath time. So I don't know how many of you were at the Holy Conferencing meeting led by KMP by Reverend Haksun 목사님. And then one of the presenter was, I think, 시정 목사님. She shared how she reshaped her weekly schedule and throughout the pandemic. It seems like this is the way that she presented to the participants to share how she coped with her weekly schedule so that she can more take care of yourself and avoid burning out. So try to set up your own weekly schedules that are healthy and making more balance between work and your family and or your personal life. So far we talked about counseling limits, setting boundaries in your ministry, and the last part, setting boundaries with congregants. Again, you can share this unity of time with your congregant, especially it says share this strategy with your SPLC or other staff members so that everyone is on the same page regarding a healthy work and life balance. So I actually print this out and put it in my office so that everyone may see what my schedule is like. Could be a good way. And when we don't set boundaries in ministry, it is our professional responsibility to set appropriate boundaries and preserve the sacred trust of the ministry. The congregation of any church can play a role in clergy ethics. In healthy churches, a clergy member can look to the congregation as a partner in ethics and setting boundaries to keep him or her accountable for behavior. For example, successful church can provide clear expectations for clergy accountability. I just added one more. Maybe you can review or update your job description. That way, your congregation can clearly see what they are supposed to expect from you, so that you do not have to overwork, or you can just keep yourself under control in terms of your capability to work and to provide all the cares that the people needs. So outline acceptable and unacceptable behavior, have an established code of ethics, or maybe some kind of general rules or covenant that you can make with your congregation. Conduct performance reviews. I think we Methodist clergies do it every year with our SPLC and DS. Respect clergy, but do not put them on a pedestal. Like, don't consider clergy as a perfect man, but we are all the same human beings who needs guidance and who make sometimes mistakes. So just be transparent about yourself and have progresses in place to support clergy health and manage problems that may arise. That way, congregation and clergy can be more cooperative together in setting the boundaries and those clergy ethics, healthy environment together. So yes. Just the last thing that I wanted to share with you is about setting boundaries during a church in transition. The transition in clergy should be vocally supportive of the new clergy, addressing any difficult situations before leaving the church. He or she should not make comparison between the old and the new, as that can make the transition even more difficult. The clergy member who is leaving should train and equip the replacement, leaving the church in good hands. He or she should be a model for the rest of the church to follow. At some point, it is necessary for the former clergy to step away from center stage so that new leadership can step forward. Clergy should take time to preach to the congregation about closure and boundaries, clarifying these new relationships with the church. They should not perform any pastoral services after departure unless requested by the new leadership. Finally, clergy should affirm love and friendship while releasing the former congregation from pastoral relationships. So like I was reappointed in 2020, and that year I was supposed to lead a wedding service in the previous church. And right after I got a new appointment, this is what I did. I just called to the couple and I'm sorry, I got a new appointment. And this is the way that we clergy should do and follow. And I should ask you to work with the new pastor so that I would not cross the boundaries. So I kind of try to explain as polite as I can, but this is what I did. Like the funeral also, one of the old member just kept saying, you are the one who officiate my funeral. He kept saying all the time when I was in Dixon for 6 years, but he passed away when I got a new appointment at the last year. And again, I politely say no, because that is not the way during the transition time. So, but sometimes some pastors cross the boundaries. Have you experienced that? Yeah, it really makes the new pastor difficult. And the new pastor received a new appointment, that somehow the parishioner who had a deep relationship with the former pastor asked to officiate their funeral. And then somehow the former old pastor accepted. And it's some kind of, really brings odd and awkward, this kind of, emotional to the new pastor. And that absolutely, I don't think is a good way to respect and supportive in the transitioning time. So I just wanted to address this part with you so that we can keep this kind of rule together. So there are rewards for clergy who participate, practice ethical behavior, being in a good standing, connecting authentically with the congregation, and living the word that they preach. Sound moral principles, sincerity, and transparent accountability must be the pillars of a clergy member's conduct. Even in the midst of unethical behavior, clergy can make the decision to remain true to their calling and honor their values. Clergy can show that they are a faithful steward of God's gifts by managing their time, talent, and financial resources. So last question, how do you set your boundaries in your public areas? So again, maybe Pastor Songo can break us down to 4 groups again, so that I want you to share together with this question. Thank you all for your sharing. And I think some of you may feel so tired. Is it because after lunch, or I saw some of you having kind of yawning and it's kind of almost time to take a nap. So instead of me to keep leading this session, I would rather invite our 선배 목사님s to share. And please share about self-care and clergy ethics around this topic. If there's anything that you think would be helpful to share, please share with us now.
Well, I actually asked my group the question, but I guess I kind of want to hear from everybody else. We talk about self-care and what we, I guess, put first in our lives. And I guess like prioritizing our lives seems like very important. But I'm just curious, what do you guys usually prioritize? Do you guys prioritize family, work, friends? How does that work? Is that very clear for you guys? Because I'm not married, and so I don't have to worry about. But I do have my parents who can't speak English. But it's like, what comes first, I guess, or is it always changing, or is it supposed to be set?
Well, that reminds me of Martha and Mary's story from this past Sunday sermon. The Lord wants us to prioritize being Mary first before we become Martha. And I believe after that, yourself, your emotion, your physical part is second priority. And then third is your family, your spouse or your parent. You cannot neglect them. But at the same time, my DS told me, full-time pastor need to dedicate, show integrity in putting 40 to 50 hours a week. So 40 to 50 hours a week. So I just share with my small group breakout room. I make one of the Google Doc in Google Drive. Today's pastor schedule. I share that with the church secretary. So they know where I am. They know I'm doing madam. They know what I'm doing. They can calculate. I have a transparency. They know I'm putting nearly sometimes more than 50 hours a week. So they know that I prioritize church while I'm, trying to take at least one day off. I guess prioritizing, it really matters case by case. For single, married, or divorced, or widow, I see the difference. But when you are hired as a full-time clergy, there is hours that you need to put. Of course, that's including your being married with God, doing your devotion, meditation with God. That's my idea.
Great. Did it answer to your question, Pastor Tay?
Yes, but I'm still curious about everyone else. Is it that clear? What about you, Buksanim? Do you have that clear boundary? Does it always apply? Is it God first, then yourself, then family, then always changing?
Like Pastor Lydia Han shared, would be sometimes case by case. So I don't want my family feel hurt by not prioritizing when they are supposed to be. So, but it is sometimes really subtle and hard to discern, but I think God will know about that. So sometimes if I have some not kind of wise kind of choice in terms of prioritizing what comes first, but at the end, family know how much I love them and they love me, so that kind of we can make things out together. So I make many mistakes, but yeah, the family sometimes mend my mistake together. So I have no clear kind of the way to set the boundary. But what about other? I'd like to hand it over to others too.
For me, Temoksanim, I except like very emergent situations, I'm trying to kind of focusing on one thing at a time. So like I have clear office hours in my church, like 9 to 2, Monday through Thursday. So I'm trying to give my 100% on church work during those times, or a little bit over if I'm not done. Then I'm switching my gears into family when I go home. So I can be 100%, give my 100% to my daughter, my husband. So sometimes it's hard to keep that, church boundary and family boundary, but I think it helps me, the space when I'm in the church office, I do church work. And when I go home, I'm focusing on the family. I think it helps. I'm not sure it's like related to priorities, but at least I can give my 100% and I don't feel divided. Yeah.
Anyone else has any question or anything you'd like to share from your sharing time? Please feel free to do that. Otherwise, I think, yeah, this is it that I've got for you today. So thank you for listening to this presentation, and thank you for participating in this time together.
Thank you so much. It was very
Thank you.
helpful. God bless you, everyone. Thank you, Reverend Kim. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank